So recently, some articles and interviews related to the upcoming live-action adaptation series of Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix have been causing quite a stir on social media, and for good reason, as they indicate that the showrunners don't seem to understand the characters of the original cartoon at all. First, there was this tweet from Variety, featuring some quotes from an interview with the actors who are playing Katara and Sokka. Netflix's live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series is toning down the sexism. We took out the element of how sexist Sokka was. I feel like there were a lot of moments in the original show that were iffy, says Kaiwentio Katara. Yeah, totally, adds Ian Osley, Sokka. There are things that were redirected, just because it might play a little differently in live action. You know what's ironic? In the last few years, several people online claimed that Avatar: The Last Airbender came out today, all of the conservatives and anti-SJWs would call it woke. However, it appears that in reality, it's the terminally online leftists who are getting offended over the cartoon, as this isn't even the first time that they claimed that Sokka's sexism was an aspect of it that doesn't age well. Now, anyone who has seen the original cartoon and isn't a snob obsessed with pseudo-politics can see that this is obviously not the case. Sokka's sexism isn't a case of something that was treated as acceptable at the time, and therefore needs to be updated. Instead, it was treated as a flaw that he develops from through a character arc. Sokka had problematic views on gender at the beginning of the series.
Simple. Girls are better at fixing pants than guys, and guys are better at hunting and fighting and stuff like that. It's just the natural order of things. Who are you? Where are the men who ambushed us?
There were no men. We ambushed you.
Wait a second, there's no way a bunch of girls took us down.
A bunch of girls, huh?
However, he is portrayed as a flawed human being, who learns and grows throughout the series. Firstly, it is important to consider his background. Sokka grew up in the Southern Water Tribe, which is established to be a conservative community, with traditional gender roles, as the men are the hunters and warriors, while the women are relegated to being the caretakers. From this established information, it makes sense that Sokka has the worldview that he has. However, while it is made understandable to the audience why Sokka is sexist, at no point is his views on gender treated as acceptable, nor is his upbringing used as an excuse, as he is frequently criticized by the people around him in the show itself.
Leave it to a girl to screw things up.
You are the most sexist, immature, nut-brained...
You need to give girls space when they do their sewing.
What does me being a girl have to do with sewing?
This then leads to him getting humbled, after getting defeated by female fighters known as the Kyoshi Warriors. And from there, he comes to the realization that his perceptions on gender were wrong, and grows out of his sexism. Sokka is a three-dimensional character, but it seems that according to the showrunners of the Netflix show, him being sexist at all is problematic, despite the fact that the whole point of the narrative was to criticize sexism, and to develop his character. But why is that? Why do they see a problem where there isn't one? Well, I have a theory. I've noticed that in a lot of modern media, there are a lot of one-dimensional sexist male characters, who only exist to be an obstacle for the strong, diverse female characters to overcome, because that's how modern writers see sexists. Pure evil, irredeemable monsters, and not real people who could potentially improve themselves. And according to them, the main characters of a story must be 100% politically correct. Except heroes can be flawed, and by erasing their faults, they'll become bland and boring, making it impossible for the audience to find them engaging. But Sokka isn't the only character getting this sort of treatment, because here's what the showrunners had to say about Aang. So we decided to make Aang's narrative drive a little clearer. In the first season of the animated series, he's kind of going from place to place, looking for adventures. He even says, first we got to go and ride the elephant koi. It's a little looser, as if it fits a cartoon. We needed to make sure that he had that drive from the start. And so, there's a change we made. We essentially give him this vision of what's going to happen. And he says, I had to get to the Northern Water Tribe to stop this from happening. That gives him much more narrative compulsion going forward, as opposed to, let's make a detour and go ride the elephant koi. That type of thing. So that's something. Again, that's part of the process of going from a Nickelodeon cartoon to a Netflix serialized drama. cinema. So basically, the showrunners couldn't understand why Aang would like to have fun, when they believed that he should solely be focused on his mission to save the world from the Fire Nation. Well, how many of you people consider that 1, he's just a kid, and 2, him wanting to have fun every once in a while is an important aspect to his character? Like, can you even imagine what it's like to have the amount of responsibility that Aang was given when you were just 12 years old? Besides, plenty of epic story-driven shows out there have the main characters taking a break from their journeys to have some downtime, as these moments allows the audience to get to know them as people. It's not helping to be constantly serious and under pressure. The truth is, Aang being able to smile and do normal kid things, despite the interpersonal struggles he deals with, along with being tasked to save the world, is truly endearing. Aang being serious and goal-driven the whole time would probably end up making him come across as stiff and boring. What really gets me is them basically saying that the only reason that Aang does silly things is because the original show was a cartoon, and since the Netflix adaptation is going to be live action, it's going to be grittier and more mature, which would therefore make it superior. This is just so disrespectful to the original show, and animation in general. These showrunners seem to have a juvenile and surface level understanding of maturity, and the fact is, the original series was genuinely mature, and not just because it was dark, but because there were layers and nuance to the story and characters. And there was a great amount of depth to its themes. And having moments of goofy fun doesn't detract from that. Oh, and one more thing. You gotta love how they're acting as if Aang riding the elephant coin was filler, even though this event would lead to some rather serious stories. One where Sokka's views on gender are challenged by the Kyoshi warriors, and the other one involving Aang soaking in the fame that he receives from being the Avatar, instead of keeping a low profile, which has some dire consequences. As because of this, Zuko ends up finding out where he is, and he then wages an attack on the village in order to seek him out. And even though Aang does end up saving the day, seeing the devastation his actions cause clearly hit him hard, and he had to learn from this experience. Alright, here's one more comment made by the Netflix adaptation crew, this time regarding Katara. There are certain roles I think that Katara did in the cartoon that we didn't necessarily also do here, Kim said. I mean, I don't want to really get into a lot of that, but some gender issues that didn't quite translate from the cartoon. Of course they have an issue with Katara being feminine, along with taking on the mother role in Team Avatar. However, that doesn't change the fact that she'll go on to become an incredibly strong fighter, even taking down Asura, one of the main villains of the series. It's almost as if being feminine doesn't automatically make you weak. Also, that comment about gender issues is quite ironic, considering that there is an episode where she stands up against the patriarchal norms of the Northern Water Tribe. It's pretty clear that the showrunners of this live-action adaptation simply don't understand the source material. Therefore, it's highly likely that it'll be a flop. Not that my expectations were that high in the first place. And that'll do for this video. Be sure to give it a like, share, and comment. Also, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for notifications. And if you're interested in supporting this channel, then head over to my Patreon. Well, I've got nothing else to say, so see ya!